Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another meta breakdown video. I am so excited to be talking about the beginning of set 21 Wild Resurgence format because honestly, the past like 3 formats with the decks we had, Sin, Gogeta, Gamma, it got super stale. I wasn't really doing the more recent meta breakdowns because what do we want to talk about? The 4 millionth, Sin Gogeta deck that we're topping? Not really, but I'm super excited to finally be able to talk about the set 21 meta, and thanks to the recent ban list we got, thank you Based Bandai, we are going to be in for a very interesting format to say the least. So we do have Tax Brisbane Regionals. This was a IRL regional in Australia that we're going to go over. This is on Eggman's website. Shout out to him for compiling all his data. The link to this will be in the description. You guys can view the deck lists there. We're going to talk about this. We're going to take a look at all the deck lists and just kind of go over what stands out about them. Now, some info about this tournament. It was on June 17th and it had 54 players IRL, so a decent size for the first tournament of this format. I'm not going to go ahead and say this is like going to set the meta or anything. Let's not do that. And we're also probably doing another meta breakdown tomorrow because I believe that there was a Latin America regional for set 21 as well that I think the Lookout streamed on their channel. Shouts out to them. So check that out. Check it out on their channel if you guys want to see that stream recap. But yeah, we might go ahead and do that video tomorrow if the information is made public. But for today, we're talking about this Brisbane regional, getting our feet wet a little bit in the set 21 potential format. So if you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video, and let's go ahead and jump right in. Now in the top 8, something I find quite interesting right off the rip is that we only have one set 21 leader in this entire top 8. Very interesting stuff. What's really funny too is we actually have a set 2 Vegeta, which a lot of people were commenting on my top meta strategies for set 21 video that I didn't mention this deck. I think it's like a fine rogue deck. I don't expect it to be like the top of the meta or anything, but it is cool to see it here. So we do have this top 8, one leader each for each of the top 8 slots. Very cool to see that even distribution. Now let's go ahead and just start taking a look at all the deck lists. We'll start with the first place green Gohan deck. So yeah, a lot of people had big hopes for this deck coming out of the set. Let's see what we're working with. So the first thing that stands out to me, we do have the Vegeta Arrogance and Trunks Mysterious Future Warrior combo. Like I've said in the past, I do think these are a pair of good cards. I just think there are a lot of other generic green cards this deck can play, but it clearly worked out for John here, so this is very cool. Another really interesting thing we have is the Surprise Attack Frieza engine. So remember, this card gets played when you KO an opponent's battle card. You play this card for free. We're also playing 1-star ball Parasitic Darkness, which if you remember from the Cell Surge days, is able to basically equip to the Surprise Attack Frieza and then play out Frieza Dark Infestation, 15k double striker, and you can basically sacrifice it to then take a card out of your opponent's hand and then pick up your Dragon Ball, or you can pick up, I believe, a 1-cost extra card as well. Yeah, okay, so that's actually really cool. You can recycle Uneasing Awaken Rage. I'll be honest, I never thought of this combo, so this is really cool. I do wonder if other Gohan players are going to show up with this exact engine in this deck to do exactly that. That's a very cool resource engine there. Now for our awakening consistency, we have 3 copies of Gohan and 3 copies of Goku showing the results of training. Definitely a little bit lower on the consistency scale. This is a perfect 50 card list. 49, we take Hyperbolic Time Chamber out of the deck, so you do have a lot of instances to try and search the Goku and the Gohan by turn 2 is when you want to see it, so I guess it must have worked out. Then we go down to the Z deck. We have our, of course, Z leader, our Android 16. We have our Goku assisting his son. And then we have the standard Jiren and the 2 Frieza. Going down to the sideboard, we have our green hate. We have 3 copies of Majin Exterminator. I do think going into this new format, this is going to be very important. Whether you want to side your respective colors, cards that are like this that basically get pitched for free and then played and draw 1. I think only green and yellow have them. Yellow's is a future Gohan. Otherwise, every single color can play Deborah Ritual at Hand, which does the same thing. Doesn't get played for free. It costs 1, but it draws you 2 cards. So basically, for paying an extra energy, you draw an additional card and make a 15k body, which is not bad. We also have the entire Faded Rivals engine sideboard here. Were we main decking any of those? Doesn't look like it. And then we have 3 copies of Vegeta Protecting His Loved Ones for the blue matchup, of course. And we have a few other good green staples here. We've got the Kamehameha Deflection, which is a great card for sure. and we have Gohan Latent Power Unleashed for that easy unison removal. So very cool list. I love the uniqueness of the Surprise Attack Frieza and the Dark Infestation. This is really, really neat. Let's go ahead and take a look at second place. We have Majin Vegeta sporting some new cards from set 21. So we have SSB Goku and Vegeta Rivalry. So you're able to lock down a Goku or Vegeta and then play this card and then choose to either give it double strike or dual attack by taking a life. Cool thing about it in this deck is you can lock down the Servant Vegeta, which is not restanding anyway unless you decide to combo it with Zarbon the Emperor's Attendant, which you can do to get around the fact that you might have locked it with Vegeta and Goku Rivalry. So a lot of really good like cross synergy there. Going through the rest of this, looks like a somewhat standard build. We are also playing though the new Goku and Frieza Spirit Clash, so very, very efficient barrier removal that draws you a card back. Doesn't really like have the greatest stats for a yellow aggro deck like Majin Vegeta sometimes wants to be, but you can easily like hybrid into a mid-range game with Majin Vegeta. That's not really a problem. It's just that like you're playing this card when you need to kill something ignoring barrier for the most part, but when it does that, it is very, very efficient. I also find it cool there's 3 copies of Bardock Awaken Instincts. We haven't seen this Overwhelm C play in quite some time, and honestly I'm surprised that we're not seeing Secret ID, because that just seems to have been the standard Overwhelm for quite some time, but a very cool one nonetheless. Going down to the Z deck and sideboard, Z deck looks pretty standard for sure. Down to the side deck, we have Gohan Videl Power Couple. This is good against so many things, and one thing I really like this against is the possible resurgence of Cumber. That deck has a lot more ground in the format now that the 2 red decks that gave us such a hard time are banned, and this card is so good against their Fuzi battle card. That's just one matchup where it's good, but it's good against a ton of different decks. We have Godly Destruction Whis to punish things like Soul Striker, which might be resurging back into the format. We've got a Unison lineup. We have our Deborahs. We have Smoke Dragon. We have Trunks the Cunning for the 21 matchup. And Mutaito is making a comeback too. This is really cool. So if your opponent plays a huge boss monster, you can simply just tap it down. Very, very cool that this card makes a slight comeback. Let's take a look at our third place list. We have Soul Striker here, so yeah, I definitely thought Soul Striker would be making a resurgence of some sort. Let's take a look at what this list is doing. So we do have Turning the Tide as our seemingly highest end top end. I want to go to the Z deck real quick. We are playing 1 copy of Android 21 in the Name of Hunger, and that's actually a pretty cool and possibly even like degenerate thing that blue decks have access to now, is like any blue deck in the game can ramp, right? So if you want to just like sneak a one of Tide in your blue deck, like a mid-range blue deck like Soul Striker, you were always able to do that, but now we have the 21 in the Z deck to just get there a turn earlier in any blue deck. So that is kind of crazy that every single blue deck now has access to that. Although we have a lot of non-blue cards, so charging those seems a little bit sketchy off the potential ramp, but hey, it must have worked out. So we are also playing a couple new cards from the set. Mainly we have Oob Focus Full Strength Blow. This card's beast, man. This card punishes your opponent for countering, and your opponent getting Z energy is really not that difficult because a lot of decks right now need to be making Z energy. So this is a very cool inclusion from set 21. Going through the rest of it, we have the classic Piccolo the Infiltrator, of course, the classic Goku Black Mortals Begone. Another showing for Bardock Awaken Instincts. Maybe this is becoming the new Overwhelm to really just like turbo through your deck, find your SCR. I could see that being like a real big draw to the card. Oceanus making a comeback for sure. We have a lot of other blue staples down here at the bottom, the UI Kamehameha, the Senzu Bean, the Realm of the Gods, Beerus, all that good stuff. And of course, you got to have your answers to Floodgates with the Desperate Measures. Going down to the sideboard, we have Awakening Talent Pan to get Awaken. Now here's something interesting. Do we have much Self-Awaken in the main deck? It doesn't really look like we do, so we're pretty much relegating that to the sideboard for any matchup that doesn't attack you all that much. So that would probably be like Android 21, although eventually 21 will have to attack you. They have to, you know, get you at least like 1 life to try to burn you with Bad Omen, right? So they will have to attack you eventually, although maybe it might be a bit slower than you would like it to be. But Fuba's a very cool tech. You know, we have Dirty Burst now banned, so this might be the de facto blue answer to boss monsters. Although it's quite unfortunate against 21, you will have to pitch 2 cards when this thing gets activated, but it might still just be the best answer there is. Plus, it can answer a slew of other boss monsters for sure. Although Ultra Instinct Goku the Unstoppable is actually a pretty cool answer to the 21 as well, because it just puts it right back in their hand immediately. That is definitely kind of neat, although it's kind of costly and gives them the ability to replay it next turn and gives them the free 10k combo. But hey, if this gets you the tempo of that 1 turn you needed, that's pretty cool. Lots of other cool sideboard stuff here. 4 full Deborahs. Yeah, I think hand control is definitely something we want to respect in this format. Haru making a comeback. That's also very, very neat. Good against your green and yellow decks, and those 2 colors should actually be somewhat popular in this format. So yeah, this card is really cool and possibly really scary. Let's go ahead and take a look at 4th place. We have Vegeta GT Ramp making a slight comeback, sporting again some new cards from set 21. We have Vegeta serving Harbinger. So obviously you can't really resolve that second auto, but this is a 1-drop that searches for any blue sand or earthling in your deck, which I'm sure there are a bajillion in this deck. We're also playing Essence Rose Goku Black, Justice of Destruction, which is an alternative to Golden Avenger in that it doesn't have a 1 cost to combo. It is a free 5k. Does have the critical, which is cool. I think Golden Avenger, though, in a lot of blue decks, having that flexibility of being usable as a counterplay is going to be somewhat important. So I do wonder why this player went with this card over Golden Avenger. I would definitely be interested to know that. But we have, again, Oob Full Strength Blow. Very, very cool to see this card being teched in these blue decks. I wonder, I mean, it's probably never happening, but in this deck, you could technically cast it for 8, although I'm sure your opponent's going to have the Z energy more often than not. Going through the rest of this, we all see a shout out to Shining Gold Evil Lifeform. So that's kind of cool. This deck, the way it's built, can actually play somewhat low to the ground between like this being a 2-cost play and this being a 2-cost play. That's really, really neat and something we don't normally see from Vegeta GT ramp decks. We have the 1 copy of Gogeta Frenzied Burst for burning your opponent's 4 life if you're at 15 energy. Very, very classic. And we have the 1 copy of Tragedy Overground going down to the sideboard. We have our 18 hate, or sorry, our 21 hate. We have our hand control hate. We have a Baby Unison, which will allow us to counter for free if the situation presents itself. And we also have 3 Ultra Insane Kamehameha in the sideboard. This is actually super surprising. I didn't realize it was missing from the main deck, but I thought there's always a vital card. I mean, it always was a vital card to ramp with this leader. So I am definitely a bit curious why it's not necessary in this deck. I'm sure I would maybe realize it if I spend a bit more time checking it out. But let's go ahead and take a look at 5th place. We do have Hatchyak. This is a deck that I've always been saying is very, very good, but you know, no one wants to play it because it is very slow. It is very, in my opinion, boring, I guess. But SS4 Gogeta Thwarting the Dark Empire, very, very powerful boss card right now because you know, Godsling's been banned for a couple formats and now Dirty Burst is gone. So blue doesn't have anything to stop this from swinging and resolving its effect. And this, again, this is a great black boss monster, but I don't think any black deck can really pull it off like Hatchyak can, because when you do play it, you do become quite vulnerable, but your leader basically, you know, shutting off aggro turns is a really big deal. So I'm not going to pretend to be a Hatch aficionado, so we'll go through this one kind of quickly. I do think King Vegeta Kingdom Lost is a very, very cool card. Punishes your opponent for attacking incorrectly, has immediate value on play. That is a very neat card. And then down to the sideboard, man, Deborah seeming to be a mainstay in everyone's side deck. The full 4 Petrification, very, very good for shutting down boss monsters as well. Then we go on to 6th place. We have Trunks Vegeta, which, you know, a lot of people are calling for a yellow-only format. Seeing this deck make 6th place, I think, you know, I think that's the type of deck it is. It's a very good deck. It's a top 8 worthy deck. I don't think Trunks Vegeta is going to overtake the format by any means. But let's take a quick look through here. So we do have, I don't think any set 21 cards, but one of the best cards that Trunks Vegeta has gotten in recent history is Kibito Kai Patara on display, because it just makes your deck like infinitely more consistent, because at turn 2, you can go ahead and just play whatever 1-drop you need from your deck to get awakened, and then, you know, basically just go all from there, evolve and awaken and start drawing your massive hand. So that is pretty neat there. We have 1 copy of Frieza just to warm up in the Z deck. This is cool. I imagine just for the 1-drop 15k. That honestly can be quite relevant, no lie. And we go down to the sideboard. Lots of sideboard tech here. So this is the equivalent of SS Vegeta Majin Exterminator that I was talking about before. This, if it's pitched, you can play it for free and draw a card. So we have some hand control hate there. Toa Twisted Sister is a cool tech. This interrupts your opponent's drop area, which, depending on matchup, can be very, very relevant. Burning Impact as well. Does it at the counter attack speed. Shuffle 2 battle cards your opponent's drop into their deck. Very, very cool for disrupting a lot of drop area-centric decks. And the rest of it looks somewhat standard-ish. Going on to Red Cooler Mill, a deck that you could never really count out, to be honest. Like, this is a road deck I would recommend getting reps against, because we do see it like a fair amount of the time. We are playing a pretty cool super combo that I don't think we see super often. This is Goku Magnificent Might. If your leader is red or blue, and this card's using the combo from your hand, if a red card's in your energy, choose one of your opponent's battle cards in unison, then gets minus 5k for the turn. Additionally, if a blue card's in your energy, choose one of your opponent's leaders or unison cards, and it gets minus 5k for the battle. So what I don't know about this card is, does it proc your leader mill twice for one effect? Because obviously you'll have a blue-red in your energy, right? So you'll proc both these minus effects. Does this super combo simply make your opponent mill too? That's actually kind of gross if it does. I kind of imagine it does. We are rocking the Jiren unison as well, which historically has always been a menace. Obviously, it's like fallen in and out of favor, but this unison is very, very powerful. Paired with Videl, encountering danger, punishing so many of your opponent's plays. And wow, we have just no Z deck and side deck. I wonder if it just wasn't uploaded, or if this player just absolutely went full man mode and just didn't play a Z deck or a side deck. That'd be pretty funny. And we have finally the 8th place set to Vegeta leader. We have a lot of stuff that seems to be quite standard in the deck. I do wonder why we're playing one copy of Negating Fist Goku. I mean, I know it's a yellow 2-cost negate, so like it's probably more so energy than anything else. But I think there's just other 1-cost yellow Gokus you could play. I don't know. This one I'm definitely interested to know more about. We do have the 1 copy of SSB Vegeta Savior. That's just a basically like dual attack, double strike crit. If you want to pull it off, that's pretty cool. And the rest of it looks pretty good. Almighty Resistance, you know, having that cheaper counter, very, very cool reason to play this deck. And then down to the sideboard, Frieza Imperial Inspiration actually is pretty cool in this deck because we have very cheap triple strikers here. So this might be one of the very few decks where this card actually makes a lot of sense. Then we have Zeno Cosmic Unison. I wonder if this was like really for field card removal. I would imagine that's like a big reason why this card was played. Of course, like you have the full board reset if you absolutely need it for 5 energy, but this is one of the very few cards in the game that gets rid of barrier field cards. So that might be the reason why that was there. And the rest looks somewhat standard as well. But overall, guys, that is our top 8 breakdown for the Brisbane Regional. Like I said, super excited to be able to talk about this new format. I want to know in the comments below what you guys think about this stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.